Ethan Hadley yawned and stretched, leaning back in his chair on the vigilant horizon. The hum of the ship's engines filled the cabin, a steady, comforting sound that had become almost like a lullaby to him over the years. It had been a long day. He'd spent hours fixing the quantum drive after a minor energy fluctuation had knocked out part of the system. His muscles ached, his mind felt foggy, and all he wanted was to send a quick message to his friends on the crew and then finally rest. He tapped the console to open the communication logs. Messages blinked in green and blue, the usual reports from other ships in the sector and the occasional personal note from crew members who had stayed awake longer than he had. As he typed, "Goodnight, everyone," a strange notification appeared on his screen, a symbol he didn't recognize. It was elegant, almost like a ribbon of light twisting in impossible patterns. The console vibrated softly, and a soft chime echoed in the cabin. Ethan frowned. He had never seen this before. Curiosity overcame fatigue. He tapped the symbol, and suddenly a shimmering light filled the room. A hologram flickered into existence, and Ethan found himself staring at a being that made his stomach tighten with awe. She was tall, taller than any human, her body covered in iridescent scales that shimmered from silver to violet in the dim light. Her eyes were enormous and bright, filled with intelligence and something he could not name. A soft glow surrounded her, and when she spoke, her voice was both musical and commanding, echoing in his mind as if the words had been whispered and shouted at the same time. "Ethan Hadley," she said. "Come to me." Ethan froze. The message was not just strange. It was impossible. The Vorathian Queen. He had heard stories about her, whispered across the galaxy. The Vorath were a mysterious race, far older than humanity, and rarely did they contact humans directly. And yet here she was summoning him. His fingers hovered over the console. This can't be real," he whispered, mostly to himself. Still, the signal pulsed insistently as if it were alive, pulling him forward. His training as an engineer had taught him to respect data, and the reading on his console showed undeniable energy signatures originating from somewhere near a Vorathian mothership. The ship's sensors suddenly flared, an anomaly in the orbit of a nearby star. Ethan realized with a jolt that the Queen's appearance was no coincidence. The Vorathian fleet had arrived, and they wanted him for reasons unknown. The first thought in his mind was fear. He was just a human, a fragile creature compared to a civilization that had mastered interstellar travel and reality-altering technology. But beneath the fear was something else, curiosity and a spark of excitement. Humanity, as unpredictable as it often was, had survived against impossible odds before. Perhaps he could rise to this challenge too. Against his better judgment, Ethan approached the transporter chamber. He checked the console multiple times, his heart pounding. The protocols screamed at him to wait, to refuse, to send a warning to the crew. But something inside him, a stubbornness humans were known for, urged him forward. He stepped into the chamber, and in a pulse of blinding light, the world around him dissolved. When the light faded, he found himself standing in a palace suspended in the void. Nebulae and stars stretched endlessly around him, painting the dark space in colors that seemed impossible. He could feel the energy of the mothership all around him. And in the center of the grand hall stood the Queen again, her presence more imposing than before. "You are here," she said, almost as if it were a statement rather than a question. Her voice held no judgment, only curiosity and expectation. Ethan swallowed, unsure if he could find his voice. I received your message," he stammered. She inclined her head slightly. "You are human," she said. "That is why you can help us." Her words made no sense at first. How could a human help a species that had survived for millennia, mastering the laws of physics and bending technology in ways humans could not imagine? But then she explained. The Vorath were facing extinction. A black hole, previously dormant, had begun shifting toward their home sector, and it was consuming the outer systems faster than any defense could react. Their technology, advanced as it was, lacked the creativity and unpredictability that humans had, a mind that could think outside the rigid parameters of Vorathian logic. And for that, they needed him. Ethan's mind raced. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, heavier than anything he had ever felt. He was no soldier, no hero in any storybook sense. He was an engineer, a problem solver with an unusual knack for improvisation. But he knew something humans had always relied upon: intuition, creativity, and courage in the face of the impossible. The Queen gestured, and a pathway of light appeared, leading to a chamber that seemed to defy gravity. Floating structures, glowing orbs, and streams of energy formed a network that pulsed with life. This was their control room, their interface with the black hole. Ethan stepped carefully, trying to understand the complex arrangement. Every Varathian device seemed to operate on principles beyond human understanding, yet somehow patterns emerged. "Touch nothing you do not understand," the Queen warned, "but do not hesitate to act when intuition calls." It was a contradiction, and that was exactly what humans excelled at, acting in contradiction to logic when necessary. Ethan took a deep breath, reminding himself that failure here would mean the end of a civilization. His hands hovered over a control panel. Then, almost instinctively, he began adjusting the energy flows, rerouting channels that the Varathians had thought optimal but which somehow could be improved. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. For time in the void seemed strange. Ethan worked tirelessly, following a thread of inspiration that came not from calculation alone but from feeling, from a sense of rhythm in the chaotic energy streams. He began to see changes. The black hole's pull, previously erratic, started to stabilize. The Queen observed silently, her eyes luminous with something that might have been admiration. Ethan's exhaustion grew, but he could not stop. There was a rhythm to this work, almost like a dance, and he realized that humans had survived for thousands of years because they had this same ability: to improvise, to adapt, to imagine solutions where none seemed possible. The black hole was not yet defeated, but for the first time the energy patterns around the Varathian homeworld began to show signs of stability. Then a tremor passed through the palace. Warning lights flashed and Ethan froze. A surge of energy, far more powerful than anything he had handled, threatened to break through the containment fields. The Queen stepped forward, her voice calm but urgent. "Do not fear. You are doing what we could not. Trust your mind, human." And in that moment, Ethan realized something profound. Humans were not the weakest species in the galaxy. They were remarkable in ways even the most advanced civilizations could not predict. Strength was not only in power or technology, it was in ingenuity, courage, and the ability to dream beyond the obvious. With renewed focus, he adjusted the conduits, rerouted the energy flows, and in a dazzling surge of light the warning tremors faded. The black hole's growth slowed, its destructive force redirected. Ethan stumbled back, exhausted but exhilarated. He had done it, or at least he had done enough to hold the line. The Queen's gaze met his, and for the first time she smiled, not in the human sense, but in a way that conveyed something deeper: respect, gratitude, and perhaps the recognition of something unique in humanity. "You are remarkable," she said softly, "not just for what you have done tonight, but for what your kind represents. Creativity, courage, unpredictability. These are strengths we have long admired but could never replicate. You are proof that even in the vast galaxy humans matter." Ethan felt a warmth he had never known. It was not pride alone, it was connection. The feeling that he had touched something greater than himself, something that spanned stars and civilizations. He had answered a call no one else could, and in doing so had reminded the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. As he prepared to return to his ship, the Queen's voice echoed in his mind one final time. "Rest now, human. You have done more than you know. Sleep among the stars, for tomorrow will bring new challenges, and the galaxy will be watching your kind with hope." The light returned, carrying him back to the vigilant horizon, where the hum of the engines welcomed him like an old friend. Ethan sat down heavily in his chair, exhaustion weighing him down, but a smile spread across his face. Humanity had proven itself once again, not through strength, not through dominance, but through brilliance, courage, and heart. And as he finally drifted into sleep, the stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging that one small human mind had made a difference to an entire civilization. When Ethan woke, the vigilant horizon hummed softly around him, but he knew something had changed. He could feel it in the air, in the stars that stretched outside the viewport. The Varathian Queen had called him for a reason, and whatever challenge had begun the night before was far from over. He rubbed his eyes, still feeling the lingering pulse of alien energy from the mothership, and tried to shake off the disorientation. A chime drew his attention. The console blinked again, and before he could react, The familiar twisting light appeared. The Queen's voice filled the room, gentle but firm. "Ethan Hadley, come once more." "There is more to be done," he hesitated. Sleep had only given him a few hours of rest, and his body ached from the strain of manipulating alien energy, but he knew she would not call for him without purpose. With a deep breath, he activated the transporter chamber and allowed the blinding light to carry him across the void once again. The palace of stars greeted him, even more vibrant than before. Nebulae stretched like living tapestries outside the crystalline walls, and streams of energy pulsed in every direction, forming patterns that danced like music he could almost hear. The Queen awaited him, her scales shimmering in colors he could not name, her eyes reflecting the infinite stars. "You have stabilized the outer systems," she said, "but the black hole remains unstable at its core. If it reaches the heart of our civilization, all will be lost. Only a human mind, unbound by Varathian protocol, can complete the work." Ethan swallowed. He felt the weight of expectation pressing on him heavier than before. The first task had pushed him to the limits of his understanding, yet now he had to go further. He reminded himself of something humans had always done. When faced with the impossible, they acted, improvised, and trusted themselves. The Queen guided him to a central chamber. Unlike the previous room, this one was vast and seemingly endless. Platforms of glowing crystal floated in midair, connected by streams of flowing energy. At the center, a massive orb pulsed with chaotic power, the core of the black hole's energy field as it neared the Varathian homeworld. Ethan approached cautiously. He could feel the heat, the pressure even through the transport field that anchored him in this alien palace. "You may touch it," the Queen said, "but you must think differently than any Varathian ever has." Ethan's mind raced. The energy was unstable, moving in patterns that defied physics as humans knew it. Yet somehow his intuition began to pick out subtle rhythms. The black hole was not a mindless force. It reacted to the flows around it, to the inputs it received. The Varathians had tried countless methods, but their approaches were too rigid. Humans, he realized, could see patterns others could not, could find solutions where logic alone failed. He stretched out his hands, letting the energy pulse through him. He imagined the flows as rivers, the currents twisting and turning, and he began to manipulate them, not with brute force, but with creativity. He rerouted streams, merged flows, and introduced slight disturbances that nudged the chaos toward harmony. His mind raced, but he felt a strange clarity, as if the black hole and he were dancing together, an intricate game of give and take. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time was strange here. His body ached, but he could not stop. He could see progress. The orb at the center pulsed less violently, its chaotic surges slowing. His hands moved faster, his mind anticipating patterns before they fully formed. Every human instinct he had, creativity, improvisation, risk-taking, guided him. Then a surge hit, more violent than anything before. Energy cascaded through the chamber, and the crystal platform shuddered. Ethan stumbled but kept moving, following the flow. He knew this could destroy him, could destroy the entire Varathian civilization if he failed. Yet he did not falter. Humans were brave, he thought, sometimes foolishly so, and that courage could make all the difference. "Trust yourself, human," the Queen's voice echoed. "You are the one who can succeed where we could not." Ethan focused, letting the fear and doubt fall away. He made a final adjustment, introducing a subtle harmonic feedback into the energy streams. The orb pulsed one last time, then steadied. The chaotic surges vanished, replaced by a rhythmic flow that seemed almost alive. The black hole was contained, stabilized, and redirected safely away from the Varathian homeworld. He sank to the platform, trembling with exhaustion and relief. He had done it. For the first time, a human had truly influenced the fate of an alien civilization on such a scale. The Queen approached, her presence serene and powerful. "You have done more than stabilize our world," she said. "You have shown us what your kind can achieve. Humans are not fragile. They are brilliant, unpredictable, and courageous. Your actions have given hope to millions, even billions across the galaxy." Ethan struggled to find words. I was just doing what I thought might work," he said. "I didn't expect—" "You underestimated yourself," she interrupted gently. "That is what makes you human. We have power, knowledge, and longevity, but we lack the spark of creativity you possess. That spark has saved us." He realized something then. This was what humans had always been, and why, despite their small size and short lives compared to ancient civilizations, they survived and thrived. It was their ingenuity, their ability to think differently, to act against expectation that made them remarkable. The Queen motioned toward a platform that floated above the central chamber. "Rest now among the stars. This is our way of honoring those who save us. You have earned this." Ethan hesitated, then stepped onto the platform. It was soft, like lying on a bed of flowing light, and it carried him gently upward. Stars surrounded him, streams of cosmic energy swirling and illuminating the chamber in endless color. For the first time in days, he felt truly at peace. As he lay there, the Queen's voice echoed in his mind once more. "Human, you have reminded the galaxy that even the smallest among us can achieve greatness. Sleep and know that your kind is admired beyond the stars." Ethan closed his eyes. The exhaustion from the previous night and the intense work of the black hole melted away. In that moment, he felt the truth of her words. Humans were not only survivors, they were heroes, innovators, and dreamers. They could change worlds. He drifted into a deep sleep, floating among the stars, feeling the pulse of the universe around him. Somewhere far below, the Varathian civilization thrived because of him, and the galaxy watched, forever altered by the courage and brilliance of one human. When he awoke again, he was back on the vigilant horizon. The stars outside were calm, familiar. The hum of the engines greeted him like an old friend. He smiled, knowing that humanity had not just survived, they had triumphed. The Queen's gift, the honor of resting among the stars, remained with him in memory, a reminder of what humans could achieve when they dared to act. Ethan walked through the ship, checking systems and sending updates to the crew, but he carried a quiet pride. Humanity had once again proven that they were extraordinary, not because of weapons or numbers, but because of courage, creativity, and heart. And somewhere out there, the Varathian Queen would remember him, not just as a human who helped save her world, but as the proof that humans, fragile as they might seem, belonged among the stars. As the ship sailed through the endless black, Ethan looked out the viewport and whispered to himself, "We're not just surviving. We're capable of anything." And for the first time in his life, he felt the full weight and wonder of being human in a galaxy filled with the impossible. The stars seemed to shine brighter that day, as if acknowledging the human who had dared to answer the call, a small figure whose ingenuity had changed the fate of an entire civilization. And Ethan knew deep in his heart that the galaxy had only begun to see what humans were truly capable of.